Peace, 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 peace. What's good? What's good? What's good? Oh boy, do I have some stuff to share with you guys. Some stuff to share with you guys. I was looking through the comments of part one, and there's so much stuff that I want to discuss with you, but I'm not. I'm not today because number one thing, even though I'm going to hit on a couple of the topics, is but this year, 2026, we're going to hit on hip hop hard and the creation of hip hop. Okay. I want to give some shout outs. Definitely Riri, love you. Definitely. Nazir from yesterday, I was listening on the scoreboards. And I was listening to some of the things that he was saying. Mighty Hebrew, definitely shout out, nothing but love. Um, Princess Mina. Now, let me tell you why I gave Princess Mina the term the capital name of princess, because to me Mario is somewhat of a king because he did let us bring hip hop to the world. If it wasn't for Mario, um, he would not we would not have really brought it to the world, and it would never have got out of, I believe, out of that little section right there. So due to him being able to bring it out, that's how it actually escaped from where we were at. A couple of things that I want to address. Um, People don't know why I don't use the term black. I've heard every excuse. I've heard every term and why it wasn't to be, and it's just, if you really stop and think about it, then you'll understand a little bit more. First and foremost, there is a definition for the word black, just like there is a definition for the word white. Definition. Okay. So the definition for black is evil, satanic, without substance. You can put it with black magic, death, dead. Those are all the definite definitions for black. Okay, so now, where did that term come from? It didn't come from us, it came from someone else. And we're doing the same thing that other cultures are doing to us. We're taking the name, the title that they gave us, and claiming it and saying it's ours. That's what we're doing. The same thing that we're fighting for now is what we did. Our language was not English. It wasn't. Okay. We don't even know what our English was because our language was taken away from us and given English. Okay, makes sense now. It makes sense. So now that they gave it to us, that name, that title, we take it now and say, no, this is we are black. We're black. We're black. And we're claiming it as if it was ours. Like we created this word black. Okay. Another thing is soil, earth, the soil, if you put some of us, if you pick up some of the soil and you put it up against our skin, it's basically the same color, brown. Okay? It's basically the same color, brown. And if you look at our skin, I'm wearing a black shirt, I'm wearing a black hat. Okay? That's black. And so to look at your brother and say, this is you or this is you, does it make sense now? Are you understanding and seeing what it is now? And so remember, black associates with death, dead. Okay, I promised myself I was not gonna get into it, but I had to clear that up. I had to clear that up. And peace out to Be the Power, because I went on their show a couple of years ago and we spoke on it. And that's it for right now. Later down the line, I'm gonna address it. Another thing that I saw yesterday is about the different arguments about the African slave trade. Okay, some people say that that's impossible, that all of these people came and they just put these people in the ship. Some people say that's impossible. Some people say that this just can't happen, and that's just impossible. Okay, I understand your argument. I really do. I truly do. But one thing that I can say is that it's still happening. It's still happening. Just look at a pimp, all right? Just keep it real. Keep it on it. Look at a pimp. And we're a lot of us, our people were pimps. Okay, they'll take a woman and they'll enslave her in reality, and they'll sell her. They'll sell her, and that's a pimp. So I cannot say that our people or someone else would not sell someone for financial gain. I can't say that. But what I can say is that it really doesn't make sense for our Creator to put two people on this gigantic earth, or whatever you want to call it, on this gigantic piece of land, piece of people, a piece of land source, and just put two people in one place. In one place. Out of this big entire universe, they would only put it in one place. So that's where I have a problem with. And so on this big land, this place where we're at, called America, by them naming it, because we didn't name it, they call America, that there was only nobody there. You understand? So we know that, yeah, someone could have came from somewhere else, but what about the people that was already here? And I know scholars debate that all day, but common sense says that I don't believe that the Creator would just put us in one place. Okay, enough with that. That's done. Wow, when I hear how the debate is about down south creating hip hop, I want to break it down to you how I see it. This is DJ. This is the thoughts of DJ Phase, how I see it. So yes, my parents are from down south, without a doubt. And their parents and their parents and their parents are from down south. As a kid, we would go in the summertime down south. A lot of people from the north would summertime, school let out, go down south, visit your relatives. That's without a doubt. The problem with me saying that the creation of hip hop didn't come from there is because of this one thing. And everybody that's went down south in the summertime as a kid will contest to what I'm about to say. When you got ready to go down south as a little kid, not even a medium kid, as a little kid, your parents would probably get a new pair of sneakers, you get a new outfit, you get another pair of shoes or whatever. And that outfit or whatever was the thing up in New York. That was, or where you were from. It was that was the thing. So as far as fashion and what we call the cool things, we brought that down there. I'll never forget it. Those people that know about Red Clay and stuff, I'll never forget my cousin had a pair of Skips and they were just full of red clay and they looked at all just whatever. And he wanted me to come outside and play in my sneakers. And I was like, nah, my sneakers ain't gonna look like that. They're just not gonna do that. And then he wore his sneakers with an outfit like it was cool. And I was like, get out of here. Ain't no way in the world I'm going to mess up my sneakers on this red clay dirt or whatever. And they for a long time, they wore dirty sneakers down south. Dirty sneakers. And I ain't gonna lie, the way they dress was like, like you look at the old movies and stuff, and you see how the kids were dressed and stuff. We were not like that around my way. We just had to be matching. Our sneakers had to be clean. We had to be clean, and that's just how it was. That was our style. Okay. Music wise, okay, I'll never front. They had stuff like James Brown and got to stop right there. The Ohio Players, all right, that's another place where my family is big time. Leroy Bonner was Sugarfoot. That's my cousin. That's my first cousin. That's my cousin. And we used to go a couple of houses down in the garage where they used to practice. And I heard this guy said the first place that George Clinton practiced was in Jersey, when I have to say no. George Clinton, Bootsy, all of them used to dock in Ohio. And that's the Ohio Players had that sound a long time ago. So that sound, that funky sound, that James Brown sound and everything, I cannot deny comes from down south. It does. There's no way I can deny that. Like I said, my parents are from down south. That what they would call jukebox party meant that they were in these shacks. And I'll never forget it. They used to have this guitar thing, and he had this metal thing on his head, and he would do this guitar thing and ring, 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 ring before like amplifier things and all of that stuff. And they would play that, and they would like have that crazy noise, and the drummer would stay in the pocket. You know, he would just stay in the pocket. That was that down south sound. That was it. When Mario came to the Bronx, we were already bringing that, but like I told you, the down south, it wasn't used the way we used it. You understand? And so in reality, that's the same thing, because now remember that down south sound came from way back. It came way, way back. Them shack parties and all of that, that came way, way back. That's why you can't bring that in and say, okay, that's the start of hip hop, because it's not. It's not. But yes, some of the sound, some of the energy that was there was then incorporated with what we did to make hip hop. Okay, so let's say, what is hip hop? Well, I'll tell you. Not only is hip hop a feeling, it's not an attitude, not just an attitude, but it's a combination of all of these things put together. Okay? So if down south didn't have the blues, it wouldn't have funk. If down south didn't have spirituals, it wouldn't have the blues, and so on and so on and so on. So it's a collaboration of these things. Now, this is what I'm saying to you is this is before hip hop. This is before hip hop. We're not even born when these things were happening. We were not born. So, going back to what is hip hop? For us, the creation of hip hop was our music, our talk slang over the music, our dancing, and our show-off ability. Meaning, showing off, meaning that we were able to wear something and someone would look at us while we're doing what we're doing. And that's it. That's it. There's no all this and all of that and all. No, that's it for us. That's what we were doing. And that was what hip hop is. Okay. I hear, and I gotta stop it right now. The phase is gonna stop it right now. Where did the word hip hop come from? And I'm gonna tell you. So during this period, a lot of people don't know, but I'm a drummer. I am a drummer. I'm a real drummer. I've played on Broadway. I've done at a young age, and I've done bands and all kinds of stuff. And at the time, you got to remember the 60s, it wasn't popular for this color to pay for lessons. We got our stuff back in those days by ear. We learned how to play the drums, the guitar, the piano, the horn, the bass by ear. We didn't have not saying that we couldn't afford it, but there was basically a limited amount of people that could instruct you in learning these instruments. And that's the big difference. Instruments. So these drum sounds, if you're teaching yourself and learning on pots and pans, because in the beginning, you don't even have a drum set. In the beginning, I remember when we used to try to make a guitar. We would get string and make a guitar. And if you look at the old back in the 50s and 40s and 30s, you would see that for a bass guitar, they'll have a broom handle or something stuck into a wash tub, and they'll be getting down on the thing, wash tub. So making instruments was the thing. So for me, playing on pots and pans was my drum set. So where do the records come into that? Okay, let's talk about it. The break is, and it, for me, will always be the part of the record that all the other instruments stop playing and the drums continue to play. Drum solo, whatever you want to call it. Okay, now, back in instrument days, that was common. That was very common. That was common to hear a drum solo or a drum break, as we call it. So one of the people's band that emphasized this break was James Brown. James Brown has, and back in the 60s, you probably found a couple of records where that he didn't have a drum break in there. All of those records were enhanced because he not only was he a drummer, but that's where he got his groove from, the drums. He got his groove, his timing, and everything from the drums. And so now, if I want to learn these grooves, this pocket, I want to know the syncopation, I'm going to listen to these records. I'm going to listen to them. And I'm going to stop the record. I'm going to play that. And then I'm going to stop the record. And then I'm going to play it again. And until I get it exactly like how the record sounds, I'm going to play it over and over and over and over and over again And that was just how I learned how to play the drums. Later on, I got instructions. I learned what the notes were. I learned the difference between what the hi-hat sound made. I learned the difference between the snare drum, the tom-tom, the floor tom, the ride cymbal, the crash cymbal. The hi-hat cymbals, when you open it up, take your foot off of it, how it makes the sound. But that was later on. But going back to that break. So, having these records, collection of records, because I'm to be honest, it was a little bit more to buy an album. It was a little bit more. So we had 45s, a lot of 45s, the gangs and gangs of 45s. And those 45s that I chose were records that had this break on it. That's it. That's it. There's no big a thing about it, a conspiracy about it, or whatever. That's it. That I got these records so that I could learn drums. Now, this is the catch. My friends, my brothers, my people that I'm with, they like the same thing that I like. I like the same thing that they like. So they like when we're dancing and then all of a sudden, boom, 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 bat, boom, 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 bat, boom, 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 bat, boom, boom, we like that. They're like, whoa, yeah, whoa, yeah. And we like that feeling. That's our show off. People say go off, but no, that's our show off. Because we're showing off at that particular moment. Okay, I'm going to hold that thought. So now let's go back to where hip hop, the name, came from. All right. So back in the early days, you could get records, 45s, nearly everywhere. You could go to Woolworth and get 45s. There were records, 45s, on cereal boxes. Yeah. They'll give you a record on a cereal box. Sometimes you wouldn't even want the cereal. You just want that record that's on the cereal box. You could go to a grocery store and get a 45. So there were certain record stores that had all the records. Records that from past records, there were record stores that had these records. So I used to go all over to find records. And back in the days, you would go and buy a record, and they would have a record player close by that you could play the record first before you buy it. Yeah, a lot of people don't know nothing about that. Okay. So I'd be in the record store for hours, playing this record, playing this record, playing this record. Oh, I like this record. Okay, I'm taking it. Okay. And there was a record store in Parkchester called Harmony Records. Now remember, this is in 1971. 1971. Not 72, not 73, not 74. This is 1971 that I'm in this record store. Okay. So you have to remember that once these things started happening, once these grooves or these records started being popular, in a sense, because that's one thing that I must admit. I have to admit, no matter how, I must admit, I have to admit it, that the younger people, the younger people are the ones that are agile. They can move and groove and everything. When you look at Michael Jackson dancing, he danced the best when he was younger. When he got older, yes, he had moves and stuff. He made different moves. But the younger he was, if you go look at those things, he was doing much more than he did when he got older. And so, as far as music is concerned, kids would be like something energetic that we could just go crazy off of. That was the hip thing to do. That was the cool thing. That was the thing to do. So remember, like I said, I'm a kid. And I go into this record store, Harmony Records, and I'm looking through the records, and the son is still alive now. Shout out to the son of Harmony Records. And I asked them, because he used to see me, Lenny Robinson, which was a jazz record collector. Rest in peace. His daughter's still around. And that's where Ultimate Breakbeats came from Lenny Robinson. That's where the Ultimate Breakbeats, when you see those volumes of Ultimate Breakbeats, that's where they come from. All the other people that say that it came from somewhere else, no, it came from Lenny Robinson. He lived right across the street from Corvettes. And he had a humongous jazz record collection. So me, knowing what I'm looking for, I asked him one day, I said, do you have any records that have just a drum solo in it? And he said, well, yeah, you know what? I think I do. I think I could have a couple of records, and, I'll bring some over, or I'll show you. If they have some here, I'll show you some. So I said, okay, cool. So now I have someone looking for these records for me. All right. So as he's looking for records and everything, and it got more records coming, he found more records, and I found more records. He came to the conclusion, because I'm knowing all of the records. I'm knowing all the records that have I'm knowing all the records that got these drums in it and all of that. And I know just by looking at the record and reading who the drummer is, and reading what the music and the date and everything, and can look at the record and see and figure it out and listening to them. So I was getting a big, huge amount of these records. That's why till today, and this is my opinion. I challenge anybody that I know, even Biz Markie, God rest his dead. He used to tell me, yo, out of all the people that I know, you have a large drum beat collection. And Lenny, Big Breakbeat Lenny, Same thing. Tell me, you have a large collection. Me and King George used to give record conventions at the New Yorker Hotel. And we used to sell records and stuff like that. And that's another thing that people don't get with me. They don't understand. They don't know that a lot of these records that got sampled and everything come from me. There's a lot of them, a lot of them. There's a lot of people that bought records from me. A lot of people. But anyway, so him being this jazz collector, he had told me that he said, well, if you find a record and you know the name of the record, I'll buy that record. You tell me what the record is, and I'll buy one for you, and I'll buy one for me. So that's cool to me. Now I don't got to spend my money on this. I can spend my money on something else. And so that's what happened. Now, this is the catch. During that process, him and the owner of the store asked me, what do I call this? Why was I doing this? What was this for? And this is the catch. So hip hop wasn't the party. Hip hop wasn't the jams. Hip hop wasn't the dress. Hip hop was not that. That's not where the word came from. That's not where it came from. The word came from him being a jazz artist and a collector. Bop, hop, sock hop, all the different indie bebop, all of these different bops and hops were the end of these sounds of music, these sounds of music. So when it came out before you, because you got to remember, this is the ending 60s and the 70s, right? Beginning 70s. Words like cool, hip, groovy, and these words, hip, like I said, if you hip, these were the words of those days. These were the words of those days. Hip, being cool, groovy, man. Oh, it's really groovy. And so what we were doing, what he said was, okay, this is hip hop. So it wasn't the jam yet. It wasn't the whatever. So now, like I said, time is going by, and other people now, from hearing Mario, because Mario was the only one out of all of them, all Pete, DJ Jones, Hollywood, all of these other DJs, Plummer, or Flowers, all of those DJs would not let us do that with the record and just play that part of the record. No other DJ. If you find a DJ that says that they did that, they lying, and tell them to come to my face, and I'll prove it to them. They did not. But Mario did. Mario let us play these breaks on his set, on his eliminators, EV eliminators, and his garbage can speakers. And so now, because this is the thing now, along with how we're dancing to these breaks, it became a thing. So these new DJs are looking for hip hop records. That's it. They were looking for hip hop records, like bebop records or sock hop records. Oh, they were looking for hip hop records. And that's where the word came from. But later on in time, yes, it became the culture of it. It became the attitude. It became all of that came later. But the word was for the style of music that it was, and that's just it. You can't say nothing about that. Okay, so people, now that this sound, this music that is now known as hip hop music starts to gravitate. Okay, so remember when I tell you about the Black Spades, just like the Black Spades that started with two people. Those two people let more people come in. So the Black Spades started getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And what happens when one person tells another person about something, and then that person tells another person about something, and that person, it spreads. The reason why it was still so contained was because we were so young and we were not supposed to go to Monroe, which is right across the bridge. We were not supposed to go the Bronx River that was across that bridge. We were not supposed to go up to Castle Hill and Soundview that was right behind Monroe. And we were not supposed. We were kids, and we weren't supposed to do that. Now our little badasses would do that because we get on our bikes and ride everything. That's another thing I want to tell people, and this is so funny. I thought about it the other day. We would walk and ride our bikes just like if we had a car. Like if we had a car, we would walk from here to West Bubblefuck because like we had a car. Okay. And so that's another way of it going because, okay, so just say, for instance, you went to Corvettes and you saw a girl or somebody, right? And you now you talking to this person, and but they live in Patterson, or they live in on the concourse, or they live wherever they live. Once you're talking and everything, you're telling them what's happening on your block. You're saying what happens on your block to this new person. And so what you're telling them, they're telling on their block that this was happening on this block. But back in those days, since it was so racist, that's the only way you can say it. It was a circumference where you couldn't go. the Black Spades made it that we could go. There was a time where our school, 125, was across the border in a sense. And know that if you cross that border, you're going to be chased with bats and chains and knives and all kinds of stuff passing that border. That's how racist it was. So that's going back to it. Like I said, that's what the hip hop was. It was hip hop music. It wasn't about, oh, Bambaataa did this or no, 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 no. It was already called hip hop music. All right. So let's go into the part where people want to be incorporated with this thing called hip hop. In those days, Spanish people, it was very rare for a Spanish person to not know Spanish. Keeping it a buck. And it was the Spanish people, when they were single, and I say single when there was one or two of them, back in those days, they would rather say, oh, I'm black, I'm black, I'm black. And they would do their afros and do their hair, and they would try to be around us and everything when it was one or two of them. But if you had a group of them, then they're Spanish. They're Puerto Rican, they're this, they're that. And that's why the Spades was created. Because a group of them were trying to jump on David. And so that's when they decided to say, okay, well, look, this something ain't going down like that. The Bronx their way. And so through martial arts, there was no, you're not just jumping this. You taking this foot back with you. And so that's why it's so hard to understand, why do they believe that they were with us when we were doing this? Because in that time, they were totally against us. And I'm going to tell you why. See, this is the trick that people do not understand why. When they were in Puerto Rico, this is a fact. They came up here because remember, the earlier ones were closer looking to the pink people than others, okay? They had the straight hair, a lot of them was pale, and they looked like pink people. And so now their families saw what the pink people's status was over us. Over us, they saw the status that the pink people had over us. So they believed that when they came here, that the pink people would accept them as them, and they would have the status, the same status as the pink people over us. But no, no, no. It didn't happen that way. The pink people said, y'all just as bad as them. And started putting them, there wasn't gonna live in these places, Riverdale and all of these other places. There was all private houses and everything. No. So they put them with us. And that's why in the beginning, in those days, remember, we had to try to understand what they were even talking about. And we taught them how to dress. We taught them how to talk. We taught them how to appear. We taught them that. And so now, because you remember, like I said before, they were not listening to our music. They were not listening to James Brown. They were not listening to Joe Tex and or Pick Meet Markham or none of that. They weren't listening to none of that. Their parents weren't listening to none of that. That was jungle music. That's what it was. And we were jungle. We were from the jungle. So they didn't listen to none of that. So how did it come that they were right there listening to the music that we were listening to, dressing the way we were dressing, dancing the way we were dancing? How did that come to play? It didn't. And so now that time has gone by, you know, the guy said it the other day. He said he went back and looked at Wild Style and Beat Street and Crush Groove. When those, the recollection, whatever you want to call, that they had was way after we had been said, this is whack. We're older. We're not going to be spinning around on the floor. Another thing that I made a point to show people that you don't understand. You don't really understand, but you can understand this. Pro-Keds were skips. We started rocking them, and they became the sneaker to get. We went from Pro-Keds, 69ers, and then, which people don't know, the Super Pro-Keds were actually before, but we didn't start off with the Super Pro-Keds. We started off with the 69ers, the Pro-Keds. They weren't even called 69ers when we got them. So then people started getting the Pro-Keds. We got to change up. We get Super Pro-Keds. They start getting those. We start getting the vinyl Pro-Keds. They start getting those. We get the suede Pro-Keds. They started getting those. Now, this is the catch. We never had fat laces in our Adidas or our sneakers. We never had that. That was not our style. at all. It looked to us whack. I was the wackest, dumbest thing to ever come up with. How that happened was that everything that's made gets imitated. It gets imitated. So the original Procans that we had regular laces. But then you go to a store like Juman or somewhere else, what makes the stuff, just like Japan does for all of these years, you're going to get the fat laces. Instead of getting British Walkers when we had them, or Rips before they became British Walkers, they were the real suede. They were real leather. So now copying them, they were cheaper leather. And which I found out years later, that when it says genuine leather, that means it's a mixture of leathers. It's a mixture. It's like an all-American might. It's a mixture of leather. Genuine leather. Look it up. And so everything that we were getting and wearing it until the next thing, they will always get the next thing. And because they had the next thing, I mean the thing prior to what we had, they will be so cool now because they got the Procans that we threw away a long time ago. Because they got the Super Procans that we threw away a long time ago. Because they got the suede Procans that we threw away a long time ago. And that happened with everything. The breakdancing. When we getting old, we're thinking about first thing and foremost, right? When we stopped doing breakdancing, it wasn't because we couldn't do it anymore. That wasn't the case. Not at all. But remember what I told you about being kids? Being kids? So now we're growing up. And what happens to males when they're growing up? They want to be with females, don't they? So now this is your only chance to go and be with female or whatever. And while you're going to dance with her, you're going to break dance on her. Think about it. She's standing there, whatever, and you get down there and you break dance on her. Just, imagine that. Or just think about it. Really seriously think about that. You're dancing with the girl, and then all of a sudden you go down on the floor, you flip back, come back up, put your hand in her face, and all that. And so we're saying, oh my God, I gotta go to this. I gotta go to this. But anyway, I forgot to do that. But anyway, so you're breakdancing on this female. And what would the female be doing at that time? She's looking at you like, what the hell you doing? You want to caress the girl. You want to rock with the girl. You want to have that girl like, oh yeah, and that's what we want to do because we were growing up. So now imagine these older kids, teenagers, breakdancing against each other. That's whack to us. But that's what they were doing. And they were not even breakdancing. That's not breakdancing. They would do, you could play the beginning of the record, have the violins playing and trumpets and everything playing, and they going down to the floor. So what part of that makes it breakdancing. They flipping and doing, just spinning on their head and going around or whatever on the floor off beat, right? To this to Beethoven. Okay, you're playing Beethoven, and they going down, flipping down on the street. And so now, imagine for years that they're saying this and they're putting this out and they're saying that this is how it was or whatever. And then DJ Phase, the culture since 71, Michael Wayne TV come and say, that's not how it goes. Now I'm public enemy number one to them. And a couple of our people, they got this. Imagine how Herc feels about me right now. Imagine. Oh man, this kid comes and tells the truth about this and everything. Imagine how these the kings or whatever come and say, "Yo, hold up." He's telling the truth as to it, and he got backup. People are telling him that this is what's happening. And so you got to understand why they would try to say that I'm a liar or I'm just name me or whatever, say that I'm this or whatever. But then ask them why. Ask them why do you say that he lied? Ask him what did Phase lie about? What did he lie? Were you there when this happened? Is he saying something that you know to be untrue? Were your family, your parents playing this type of music that he's talking about? Did you have this Gerard record player in your house? Was your parents' record collection this? Did you have this kind of clothing at this age, at this time? If you ask those questions to the same people that says that I'm lying and that this is not true, you know what the answer is going to be? Crickets. Because there's no answer to it. So these people that go on the comments and say DJ fraud or he's a liar or this person did this, or my favorite one, this is the favorite one I love. He wasn't on the flyers. So when did the flyers come out? What years did the flyers come out? There's the flyers in the creation of hip hop? No. So just for them saying that, he wasn't on the flyers, let you know. You don't know what you're talking about at all. But they don't want, and that's that makes my point exactly. So, and I hate to go back to this because people maybe it'll click now. So now the pink people gave us our title, our name as being black. And we take it and say this is ours. We take death, we take evilness, we take sin and say, oh no, it's a good thing. This is us. It's just a frame of mind. Whose mind? Whose mind? Someone gave you that thought. Somebody gave that to you. Just like they gave us the English. Somebody gave that to you. Nobody gave us hip hop. We created it. It's ours to keep. It's ours. And because we won't let someone else come and say, yo, we was right there with you, 50-50. We did this. Those people that say 50-50, tell them, what did they contribute? What from their culture did they contribute? What piece of it? Did we get DJing from them? No. Did we get talking crap on the microphone from them? No. Did we get fly doing whatever we doing from them? No. So what did they contribute? What are these big contributions to this thing called hip hop? There is none. So they're mad at me. They're mad at DJ FaZe. Oh no, FaZe. Don't tell people that. Oh no, FaZe. That's not, no, you're lying. You're the fraud. You're this. Oh, the bad. Yeah. I'm a fraud. I'm a liar. But I'm one of the ones that created this thing that you're doing, that you love so much, that you want to be so bad. DJ, sing to that. Okay. Enough of that. I got to go to some of the comments. This part 2, part 3 is coming. Part 3 is going to talk about how this thing makes people feel like the reason why hip hop makes people feel a certain way, and because of the music. So I kind of skipped on the topic of it about being down south and what their contributions to it is. It wasn't that because if that's the case, remember, before hip hop there were a whole bunch of genres of music, a whole bunch. Okay, but so putting that music and putting that style, and I'm going to talk about the MC and the DJ, the change of hands. Okay, because a lot of people don't get. I hear people saying a little bit about the production of hip hop and everything, but there's a reason why it went from the DJ being the spotlight and to now the MC being the spotlight of it. Back in when it was created, you couldn't have the MC without the DJ. And so the people would come and see what the DJ was doing. And when we learned how to do the tricks and stuff and everything, that's where the MC would stand to the side and people were looking at the DJ. They never saw no ziggy or blah, blah. They never seen that. So now, if you look at it, the MC doesn't have a show with the DJ. It's just about, but I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna say that later. Okay, let's go to some comments and some shout outs, because and I gotta tell you people, I love you guys so much. It's like, you guys really, y'all give me so much confidence to get ahead and reveal the truth. And so yes, that's what we're gonna do. And like I said, 2026, if you ain't right, if you lied all of this time and you don't want to get caught up in my jugu, then you just bow out gracefully because I'm coming for you. I'm coming for you. Or there's no way in the world my crew is going to let you just hijack our shit and take it from us. It ain't happening. All right. Riri, love you to death. Love you. And she welcomed the family, everything. China Black, love you to death. Okay. Scoreboard keepers, love you to death. Love you. I love what's going on. We got to start telling each other that we love each other. JG, love you. All right. You here. Love you, fan. I love you back. Hip Hop Squad fan. Hip hop started in 71. You're right on target. You're right on target. So all of those that say anything other than it started in 70 and 71, that's wrong. That's wrong. By 74, 75, 76, it was not even, we didn't have nothing want to do with it. We didn't. Keep it real. We would rather dance with a beautiful woman and fill a woman up and all of that, and than to break dance on a girl. And so that's another thing where you think about it. These movies, these wild style movies and these breakdancing movies, they were focusing on this fake acrobatics, which is called breakdancing. But what about the snapping? What about the real fashion? What about the emceeing? What about that? What about the jam? What about that? Okay, oh God, we're gonna go, we're gonna go, we're gonna go, we're gonna go. Okay. FaZe likes the term pink people. Yes, yes. I love the term pink people. And it's because, like I said, all right, so here you asked for it, I'm gonna tell you. Okay, so we already did the definition of black, right? And it means evil, satanic, without substance, death, dead, all of those, black magic, all of those. We know that, right? But then we look at the color white and it says heavenly, loving, without sin, substance, all these great, beautiful, wonderful words. So why doesn't those words apply to us? Why we're not white? Their skin is not white. Their skin is not white. So what makes them white, heavenly, beautiful, loving, without sin? What makes them white and we're black and dead and evil and satanic? Our skin is not black. Their skin is not white. So how come the definition, and then you got all of these people to go, oh no, but black is this and black is that, yeah, okay, you be that. Stay in that black status, because I guarantee you, when you look at an application, or you look at any application to go get something, there's a difference between being white application and being black application. There's a difference. There's a difference being the president of the United States. There's a difference. When you go to make that sign that thing, you get on there, there's a difference. There's a difference from so-called white neighborhood than the black neighborhood. There's a difference. So if black is just so great word to have, why is the status so different? Tell me. These people they claim, and I listen. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. When they say FBA, I'm not against it to them. I'm not really. But I am against the word black. So if that means foundational black person, then, if that means foundational black American, I have a problem with it. Because the same person that gave you that black status is the one that has the white status. And they're heavenly, and they're pure, and they're marked as loving. You, the foundational, evil, satanic, sinful, dead American, is what you're claiming. Oh boy, I could go for days. I could go for days, but I'm not. I'm not. ADOS or FBA is the only way. And see, that's what I'm talking about. Now ADOS, I would prefer that more than the FBA. And the reason why I would prefer it more is because there is such thing as being a slave. I mean, there is proof of that. There's definitely proof that there were slaves here on this land. There are definitely slaves on this land. So if we're descendants of those slaves, then it makes sense. It makes sense. But it does not say in ADOS anything about what they labeled us being black. And see, we always have to settle for. We always have to settle for and make it livable, make it acceptable. So in those slave days, they would feed the slaves the slop, the baddest part of the pig intestines, the pig feet, the snout, the all everything that was just that they didn't want. And what did we do? We made the best out of it. And so now, just like everything we do, we take it and make the best out of it. And so that's what we tried to do and we done with black. Yes, it's the chitlin of the words, but we make chitlins out of it and we say we accept it and say, okay, yeah, we're black. Oh, black is a feeling. Oh, I'm black and I'm proud. And I'm what? Y'all don't get that? And because I say so, it's wrong. It's because Faye said it. No, think about it yourself. Think about it yourself, people. Okay, like I said, we're gonna go into that another time. Till Juice, I see you, King of Four Man. Mina Princess is in the building. Grass stains too. Right. Oh, there's a perfect example. A perfect example. So, from what time and people and books and stuff say that we come from the dirt, right? What color is that dirt? You want to think about it. That dirt is not black. It's not. But we come from the dirt, but yet and still we end up being black. Something don't add up. Something doesn't add up. And when I just saw that grass stains too, it makes sense, right? It's brown. We're brown. We're brown. They stole that. They stole the people that are called brown ain't even brown. Okay, this is brown. This is brown. Oh God. Oh my God. We're gonna go in. Hey, well, one thing I didn't start off by saying is that people, please like, share, subscribe, and donate. Donate. If you want this information, if you want to be on the part of the people that know instead of the people that just think or believe, you want to be a part of the people that know, then you want this information, you want this channel, you want this to blow, you got to donate. And then I'll continue. I'm going to tell you the truth. I'll bring the people to show you the truth. I did one video where I'm bringing the records and showing the records. Bringing the truth, but you got to donate. You can't just get all this knowledge, it's all of this everything, and then just like, oh yeah, that was good, okay, and gone. It's not right. It's like when I DJ. I could DJ for all these people with rock and all of that. Then when it's time to set up, to put the equipment away, everybody, pew, pew, pew. That ain't right. Donate, subscribe, share the channel. Come on, people. I stopped for a minute. I was like, hold up, man. I'm giving all this information and everything. Nobody even donating. They can't even throw $1, $2. They can't do nothing. It's not, this information is not worth your little couple of diffuser ones and twos. Come on. I shouldn't even have to be saying this. You should be saying this to yourself. You say, yo, FaZe is telling the truth. FaZe is doing this. Yo, help FaZe to bring it to you. I'm not going to go into that, but that's how I feel. Okay, FaZe, I never hear anyone mention BT Express. They had some heavy duty street music. Oh, well, my experience with BT, see, oh God, oh my goodness. I think, and this is just me, I think there's a lot of stuff that people might not know of because that was our thing. Our thing was you wasn't going to know what this break was. You were not going to know what this music is. You're not going to go to the store and buy this record because if you buy the record, then I'm not so popular because I have the record. Okay? So a lot of stuff is kind of secret and I could, oh my God, I could say hundreds and hundreds a name of good records and everything, but we ain't gonna tell nobody the name of that record. You on your own, Jack. But now they have all of these different online things and everything, and so but it's still hard to get the records, and a lot of records now are just out. They're just destroyed. Records I never forget. I was in North Carolina, and I got to this place and they were throwing out, like just destroying all of these albums and stuff. And I just got there and I said, hold it, hold it. And I'm packing the car, filling the car up as much as I can. I took some, I put them on the side of somewhere and put it, but they were destroying these records, and those records will never be out again. So going back to BT Express, BT Express had a very good beat on them, and we didn't tell nobody. So that's why, but then they had a couple of hits, here comes Express, Express, rock. Rock, and so BT Express, they were rocking, Okay, the Most High. Oh shit. Okay. Everybody, Most High, Grand Rising, Cool DJ Phase, First Class Citizen, Grand Rising. Oh, thank you for saying that, First Class Citizen. The reason why I say Grand Rising is because, number one, the rising of the sun. Okay, we don't understand, a lot of people don't understand that the sun is life. That's life. Morning, when you say morning, if you do the research and if you ask older people, when the slaves were here, and they would kill the slaves and maim the slaves and rape the slaves, and then the family members of the slaves the next day, they would mock them by saying, "You're having a good morning, you're good morning," and so just like in the Bible, things were changed to actually hide the actual meanings and the actual definitions of things. So that's why we don't address we don't acknowledge the mocking of saying morning. So we say grand rising. And like I said before, people are so programmed and so washed in the head that anything new that's not old, or that they didn't grow up with is wrong, and that's just, we evolve and we get smarter. And that's where that came from. We're smarter now. I am sure if the slaves had the knowledge that we have, there probably wouldn't have been slavery. Even if to know, like, just say for instance, they talk about the ships that had thousands of people on these ships, and they only had a certain handful of these people. Even if they had guns, even if they had not all of that stuff, if they all at one time threw those people off the ship and took the ship, there wouldn't have been there. So knowing now, we're the type of generations that say, like, slave what? I'll whoop that ass, I'll beat the crap out of you. We tell our bosses and all our stuff that now, and they're not even slave masters, but we'll tell them, fuck you, I'll fuck you up, I'll take your shit. We'll do that now. You see what I'm saying? So imagine if they had that mentality back when the slaves were, there, it would probably be different. Okay. Ohio players, I want to be free. Best drum break ever. No, I'm not gonna tell you the best one break, but that is that. Yes, I love that one. I love when Diamond did that one. But there's another Ohio players break before they went to Mercury, and woo, woo, I use it all the time, but I ain't gonna tell you what that is. So yes, Ohio players. And by the way, if you didn't hear that, Leroy Bonner, God rest his soul, that was one of my first cousins. And so yes, okay. First Class Citizen says, I remember Woolworth. Yes, okay. And If you remember Woolworth, you would remember that, well, the one in Parkchester, as soon as you went in, and on this side, they had the little restaurant part. But on this side and to the right, those were all records. Those were all records, albums and 45s were right there. Then they had the little toys and stuff here, and then back they had the other stuff. But in Woolworth and Parkchester, the restaurant was on the right side, and then on the left side, going towards the back, that's where all the records were. So you could stand over the things and look through the records. Yes, Woolworth. Okay, let's go. Let's go. And okay, this is JDN Video Shield. Okay, and anyone who knows what happened in Bensonhurst and Howard Beach in the 80s, that is a glimpse of what Faze is talking about with the racism and segregation. And look it up online. Yes, yes. So for the and so like I was saying to you about the Puerto Ricans and the pink people, that was the mission for them to be against us. That was their mission, for them to be against us. So the pink people already hated us because they knew we were kings and queens. So they hated us. They knew that everything was because of us. They hated us. And so now the Puerto Ricans come from Puerto Rico, and they come here and they want to be the pink people, and the pink people rejected them. So they shouldn't be mad at us. They should be mad at the pink people for rejecting them. But they don't. And if you think about it, since they rejected them, and they still want to be them. They still want to be, because they feel like the status of the pink people are superior to us. That's why. You're gonna get it. You're gonna get it. Okay. Seems like all the gangs on the East and West Coast in the 60s were started to protect themselves from hate crimes. I believe that that's why all gangs were started. Now you got to remember, it's totally different. Just like everything else. One thing that Superfly and the Mac and those movies, those black exploitation movies, showed was the code. And the code was the woman had to be the woman had to choose her pimp. So if a pimp had a girl, and the girl, another pimp wanted that girl, he had to wait until she chose him. And then if she chose him, that pimp wouldn't fight or nothing. They wouldn't do nothing. And that was the code. Back in our days, the code was women and children, hands off. You know what I'm saying? Hands off. Hitting a woman, hands off. That's how we were raised. We respect the women and children. And these days, there's no nothing. And respect our elders. I don't care how tough you were back in the days. You ain't gonna curse in front of Bobby Mommy or somebody's, woman, or you weren't gonna do that. And till this day, I don't curse in front of my parents. My parents are both alive, and I do not curse in front of them. Okay, because that's a matter of respect. These days, there's generations that came up that don't have that respect. And that's what it is. That's just what it is. Okay, time is going so much, man. I can't believe time goes back this quick, so I can't even do this. The more things change, the more they stay the same. Yes, they really don't. Okay, there's just way too much. Way too much. Oh my God, look at all of this. Oh God, I'm sorry. But like I said, this is part two. These comments show me that you appreciate me. The Cash App is right there on the screen. It's been going through the screen. Show me appreciate me by sharing, liking, subscribing, and donating. Show me. And I'm going to thank you again, moderator Riri. Thank you so much. And thank everybody. But I'm coming back. I got to come. This series, I'm going to do for 7 days. So for 7 days, this series, every single day, I'm going to come out. So this is part two, and I'm going to be with part three tomorrow. So tune in tomorrow. I'll send out notifications of what time I'm going to be on tomorrow. And peace and love. Love you guys.